Chapter 3: The Central Takati Region.
Get ready to embark on an epic expedition through my imagination as I explore the Instagram-acclaimed Leweka Region within 3 new ongoing series here on my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with these adventures, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course leave a comment down below to let me know what you think and what Pokemon you decide to capture on your adventures. And of course, please make sure to support all of the talented artists I commissioned and worked intimately with to bring all of my ideas to life, as I wouldn't be able to take you on all these exciting adventures through my imagination without their help. As well as all of the amazing voice actors featured in this series, so each chapter I'd like to give you the opportunity to get to know them as I ask them a new question relating to Leweka. For this video, I decided to ask them what their personal favorite Leweka Pokemon was.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ocean Ray Clark, and I play Professor Baobab in Pokemon Legends Elemage. And my favorite Lewekan Pokemon would have to be the starter Hydro-Fan. I think it's such a great design. Water Psychic's a great typing. My name is Ocean for Water. Psychic's my favorite typing. And that Water Cyclone, to make it feel like an actual genie in that rebirth form, come on, dude. Great design. Hydro-Fan for sure.
Hello, my name is Destiny Horn, and I play the character of Anaya. My favorite Pokemon in the Leweka region is Altoad. I love music and singing too, so I'm intrinsically drawn to her. She also has really decent stats, so she can hold her own in a battle. Also, I love the clever combination that, since Altoad is a poison and normal type, anyone listening to them will get sick. I think that's pretty awesome.
Hey, it's I know, and it's your boy Giddy. And by far, my favorite Pokemon is Sincere. One, I have a soft spot for reptile Pokemon and fire type Pokemon, so when you bring them both together, as you can see, that little slithery snake has to be on my shoulder. Like, if I can have any Pokemon for it has to be him. He's by far my favorite that I've seen so far, and I just can't wait to see the rest of the Pokemon that come out. And if I could build a team, I'd start with him.
By the way, this part is not scripted, so I was honestly blown away by how similar their answers were to the roles they play, so I have no clue what's going on, but they must be doing some serious method acting.
My dear niece and nephew, young Anaya and Chidi, please have a seat. Your Uncle Obasi would like to tell you a tale. It won't be long before you two are old enough to succeed your father as champion of the Leweka region. A role that, unlike other regions, comes with great responsibility as ruler of Leweka's citizens. As king or queen, it'll be up to you to look after both the fine people and all the miraculous Pokemon that call Leweka home. And as you know, Leweka is by far the largest of Pokemon regions.
This is because Leweka is made up of what used to be 6 neighboring Pokemon regions.
Show off.
To the south, you have the Karoo and the Florofimbos of the Ukuvu region, painting the Cape's coast. Upward, you have the vast jungle and swamps of the Takati region. To the west, you have the sprawling savannas and wastelands of the Awago region. To the north, you have the ancient secrets hidden beneath the arid deserts of the Akam region. To the east, you have the Nakeup region's mountainous tundra surrounding Mount Milinjaro. And last but not least, off the east coast, you have a miraculous island full of rainforest and wetlands, known as the Wikwa region. This is the legend of how the kingdom of Leweka was formed. To the unification of these 6 ancient regions thanks to our brave ancestors.
You mean the first Baobab?
Don't forget champion.
That is correct, young ones. This is also the story of how the Baobab Bloodline, our noble family, came into power.
So, our great ancestor received magical devices far ahead of their time, such as the Elemage Watch and Protoball from Ukuvu tribe leader Nandi, an ancestor of my BFF Zola, thanks to her visions of the future.
They also received their first partner Pokemon among Grookey, Litten, or Totodile with help from Professor Acacia before venturing out into the southern Ukubu region in search of the healer Sanyu, as they needed the Grass Tribe Wand to stop the agitated monarch Pokemon and queen of the Fimbus, Kuvian Blossom.
Although they weren't the only ones looking to take on this monarch Pokemon, as a young boy from the jungle of the neighboring Takati region was hoping to use their fairy tribe wand to command this Pokemon, hoping it would be strong enough to take down the monarch Pokemon that plagued his region with a mysterious virus known as Pokerus, helping the wild Pokemon of the region level faster, making them more dangerous than ever and harder to command. Luckily, our brave ancestor and healer Sanyu agreed to journey to the Takati region to try to help Tumo and his people.
Okay, so now that we are all up to speed, what was the Takati region like?
The Takati region, located in the heart of the kingdom of Leweka, was a lush region made up of thickets, woodlands, and vast jungles, with enchanting creeks, cascades, and a raging river coursing through it. Ancient temples, grottos, cliffs, marshlands, and swamps, all filled with miraculous Pokémon of all 18 tribes. But before our ancestor and healer Sanyu ventured into the deep jungles of the Takati region, they had to go back to the Husa village to get permission from tribe leader Nandi.
I can't imagine she'd mind. Uniting the 6 nations was kind of her idea after all.
More like the mythical Pokemon Elemages, really, as it spoke to her through her visions.
While they had already formed a plan to unite the 6 ancient regions in order to try to stand up to the power-hungry Divine Pokémon, she was hesitant, as she claimed the tribe leader of the Takati region, Kwame, was quite unfriendly and unaccepting of outsiders, as they were even more traditional than the people of the Okuvu region, or any of the other kingdoms for that matter, unwilling to adapt to the ways of the outside world, as they hid themselves deep within the vast jungles of the Takati region, where they sought to become one with nature. So convincing them to unite their tribes would not be easy. But after hearing of their situation due to what young Tumo had told our ancestor, she felt if they had any chance of doing so, that this would be it, by saving the people of Takati from their treacherous monarch Pokemon that plagued their nation.
Not to be a party pooper, but we already know they managed to do so, otherwise we wouldn't be here. As we know, Leweka was formed after all 6 nations were unified thanks to our great ancestors.
Chidi, that's not the point. It's about their journey and how they managed to do so.
I couldn't have said it better myself, just as your trials to the throne will be more about your journey through the Leweka region, seeing it through the eyes of its citizens, both people and Pokemon alike.
I'm sure Healer Sanyu was a big help to our ancestor, especially with her newly acquired Okubian Blossom.
Indeed, she was even gifted a soul ankh from Professor Acacia in case she needed to call upon its powerful rebirth form.
This Acacia was one stand-up guy.
That he was, much like his descendant today, Jembe. Together, our ancestor and Sanyu ventured through the crown thickets that sat right beside the top border of Husa village.
What Pokemon were found in these areas?
The thickets were home to a variety of Pokemon native to Leweka, such as Jolly Jerbine and Herbil, Laverne and Dracoud nestled in the trees, playful Dalmut or Rorschach, Perkashell or Tortempo banging their drum-like shell amongst the trees in order to make music, as well as the dream-weaving Spy Dream and Nightmarok, Electric and Flying Tribe member Thekwat, and its dazzling evolution Pishak in both its more presenting male and subtle female forms.
How beautiful!
Cool, but a lot of these Pokemon were already in the Okuvu region.
Why, of course, Chidi, the Takati region does neighbor the Okuvu region, after all, so it only makes sense they'd share a lot of the same wildlife.
Precisely. However, these Pokemon were usually of higher levels, meaning you'd be just as likely to encounter one of these Pokemon fully evolved.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
I'm glad I got your attention. Now please try your best to hold on to that enthusiasm and stay with me. After making it through the thickets, our ancestors and healer Sanyu arrived in Magic Crest Creek, a beautiful creek with small falls and brightly colored flowers.
Now this area sounds magical indeed.
In this area, you'd find flocks of Chibi and Incubus in the water, as well as plenty of water tribe Pokemon, such as Psyduck and Golduck, the Meroline splashing in the water, Surskit skidding across it, and Masquerain fluttering around, Poliwhirl hopping across lily pads, or the backs of Lewekan Hippopotas playing in the water.
Was it known as Takashian Hippopotas at the time?
No, it was actually found all throughout the 6 kingdoms, so at the time it was simply known by most as Hippopotas, as they weren't familiar with its ground-type variant. You'd be able to find schools of Feebas swimming in the water, as well as the majestic Milotic, which was apparently an alpha Pokemon in this area.
An alpha Pokemon?
They were leaders of their packs, being bigger and stronger than the other members of their species.
Oh, I'd catch one for sure then.
There were also a handful of Pokemon from other tribes in this area, such as Beautifly, Floette, or Rabombi flying around.
These Pokemon are all so elegant.
And after making it through the creek, our ancestor found themselves in the Wondrous woodlands area.
I'm confused. What's the difference between a thicket and a woodland?
More trees. A thicket is a dense group of trees or even bushes, a lot smaller than woodlands or forest, which are primarily trees.
So, less trees. Got it. Say less next time. Okay, so what's the difference between woodland and forest then?
While both ecosystems are comprised of an abundance of trees, a forest has a closed canopy while a woodland has an open canopy.
Okay, we get it. You're smart. No one asked.
You just did.
Are you two done talking so I can continue telling you about the wild Pokemon found in the woodlands area?
Of course. My apologies, Uncle Obasi.
On the ground, you could find Pokemon such as Pikachu and Eevee. In the trees, you could find Pokemon such as the Pikipek or Exterminate line native to the Fian region. Working away at the trees, disturbing Pokemon such as Heracross, Apom, or Nuzleaf that live in them, as well as hives of Combi and the occasional Cerato or Combadge. Fearless Pokemon covered in a sticky sweet coat of honey they steal from hives of Combi, using the sticky sweet of honey to attract and trap their prey.
Oh, now that's cool.
Indeed. The woodlands was also home to a regional variant of Blipbug. Takashin Blipbug was now a member of the Poison tribe. Takashin Blipbug created a paint-like goo it used to mark its territory, similar to how Grafai do today.
So they were painters. How cool.
Exactly. As their evolution, Takashin Dottler using its dome-like shell as paint palette, as it secreted the same paint-like goo. And of course, they evolved once more into Takashin Orbito, whose paint-like goo changed colors depending on its mood. It even had a signature move, brushstroke, painting over its foe's ability, neutralizing it. It's said this Pokemon and its pre-evolutions were used to help the people of the Takati region paint their bodies and masks.
I'm sure their tribe leader possessing the poison tribe wand had a lot to do with that. But that aside, it sounds like the people of the Takati region seem to be less scared of Pokemon than most others were at the time.
Yes, that is a fine observation, young Anaya. Living off the land and being more in tune with nature, they were more accustomed to living with Pokemon. Although, as I said earlier, they worshipped them from afar as they respected their magical powers, and their relationship with Pokemon was obviously challenged after the monarch Pokemon unleashed the Pokerus virus, infecting many of the region's wild Pokemon.
I'd welcome such a challenge.
Says the kid who still doesn't have his own Pokemon. For all you know, you could be a terrible Pokemon trainer.
No, I'll be the best. I'm going to be the future champion of the Leweka after all.
So you keep saying, I'll believe it when I see it.
Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
This line can be found in various other areas deep within the jungles of the Takati region, along with other bug tribe Pokemon native to the Leweka region, such as Insect or Virusquito.
Strange. I've heard of these two Pokemon before, but I could have sworn they looked different.
That is strange indeed.
If I recall correctly, Insect is the puppeteer Pokemon, a grass and bug tribe Pokemon made of wood, which uses its sticky silk strings to control other Pokemon like puppets.
My Anaya, you really are coming for my job, aren't you?
You should give her a gold star for being the world's greatest suck-up.
And while he's at it, he should give you a gold star for... Oh, wait, never mind. That would require you to actually use your brain for once.
You think you're so smart, but I know more than you think, especially when it comes to Pokemon battling.
Very well then. Please enlighten us, young Chidi. Is there anything special about Insect or Virusquito?
Yeah, their special abilities unique to them.
Very well done, Chidi. That is correct. While neither of these Pokemon evolve, both of their signature abilities make them a valid member to any Pokemon trainer's team.
See, you're not the only one who knows what's up.
Chidi, I won't lie. I'm impressed. Now, Uncle Obasi, can these Pokemon both still be found in the Leweka region today?
Why, of course. I'm sure you two have both had to fend off some pesky Virusquito before.
Yes, they're so annoying.
You're one to talk. With abilities like that, I'll have to make sure to catch both of these Pokemon when I become a Pokemon trainer.
After making their way through the woodlands, our ancestors arrived in the heart of the jungle. Home to a variety of Pokemon of various tribes, far too many to name, but primarily Pokemon of the Grass tribe, such as the Bellsprout line, Pembat and Junglide, who are found all throughout the jungles of the Takati region, usually hanging from the trees disguised as fruit or soaring above the treetops. Or some of the region's finest predators, the Weakened Meowth or Persian, known at the time as Takashin Meowth or Persian, as they were unique to this region, using their vine-like tails to catch their prey. The jungle is also home to various bug tribe Pokemon, such as the previously mentioned Virusquito and Insect, or the Levani and Scolipede lines. At night, you can even find Volbeat and Elemage lighting up the jungle canopy. Plenty of other nocturnal Pokémon of the Dark, Ghost, and even the Ice Tribe, as these are some of the few Ice Tribe Pokémon found in this region.
I once saw a Lewekan Hoot Hoot at night here in Huisa Village. I remember feeling a chill in the air. It was a marvelous feeling, to say the least.
Yeah, well that's nothing. I've seen Leweka Noctown before.
I doubt that. You would have told me about it. You tell me everything. I'm your only friend.
No, you're not. Please stop interrupting Uncle Abasi. I'm trying to listen to his story.
After making it through the heart of the jungle, our ancestor arrived in Canopy Village, a civilization built in the treetops of the jungle to avoid being spotted by the Divine Pokémon or Sky from the sky or detected on the ground below by the Divine Pokémon Cetera. This village also was home to a variety of Pokémon that lived in harmony with the members of the Takati tribe, such as Perkashell and Tortempo. They played as drums. Spy Dream, they hung to ward off bad dreams.
Yeah, we've discussed these Pokemon before. Please tell me about some sick new Pokemon.
I'm getting there, Cheaty. This village is home to Leweka natives such as the playful Natike or mischievous Voodoo Lines, two Pokemon that have regional forms in other regions such as the Frigid Furin region or the Tropical Zone region, as well as powerful rebirth forms. These two Pokemon are some of the sweetest you'd ever meet, often partnered with younger children like yourselves due to their playful natures.
I've always wanted a cute little Voodoo, so I could use it to play pranks on Cheaty.
Now, Anaya, that wouldn't be very nice. This village was also home to the Elemental Pan Trio and their Lewekan counterparts of the Psychic, Fighting, and Dark tribes.
Father said those were quite rare.
They were indeed, but they'd often appear within the village after learning to trust people of the Takati tribe. After arriving in this village, our ancestor was given a not-so-warm welcome from one of its members, Alani. Some scholars believe to be a distant ancestor of Galar gym leader Piers. Others believe she may also have ties to the Zone region. Despite their unpleasantry towards strangers and blunt nature, Alani was a very nurturing shaman to the people of her tribe, who worship Pokemon and their supernatural powers from afar, often wearing the wooden mask inspired by the Pokemon to perform rituals in order to bless said Pokemon and in return ask for their protection. Of course, being the holder of Elemage's Dark Tribe wand granted her power of Pokemon of the Dark type, which she commanded as she challenged our ancestor to a Pokemon battle for trespassing within her village. Using Dark Tribe Pokemon such as the stealthy Liepard, a swift Shiftry, and her partner Pokemon, a sneaky Gremlaya. A Dark Tribe Pokemon native to Leweka that can turn invisible, a skill it often uses not only in battle making for a challenging fight, but also to scare off predators or unwanted visitors such as our ancestor. It is found in the grottos or near the Takati region's waters. However, it is quite hard to capture due to its ability to turn invisible. This Pokemon even has an evolution unique to the Furin region using an arcane item known as the Runestone.
It's a shame we cannot evolve it here in Leweka.
Well, it's not easy, but it is possible to purchase a Runestone a few places here in Leweka. I mean, after either of you becomes champion, the world will be your cloister. In fact, while our ancestor was engaged in this battle, Alani had her invisible Gremlire sneak into our ancestors' belongings and steal all of their tribe wands. Something they didn't discover till after this battle. Alani, defeated, was willing to hear our ancestor out, but told them they wouldn't receive their tribe wands back until proving they could be trusted.
How are they supposed to do that?
By helping to stop the spread of the Pokeris virus that plagued the Takati region due to the monarch Pokemon, of course.
Okay, but how were they supposed to do that?
By stopping the monarch Pokemon, of course. Have you been paying attention?
Actually, Alani had a different trial in mind to test our ancestors' loyalty before battling the dreaded King of the Bog. Alani wanted our ancestor to take down some of the dangerous Pokemon infected with the Pokeras virus that posed a threat to the people of Takati, most of which had managed to acquire soul onks within the jungle and were able to access their powerful rebirth forms after fainting just like the monarchs.
Whoa, that's insane. So they weren't only really high level, but they could be reborn through rebirth? Things are getting good now.
It's funny to imagine wild Pokemon holding items such as the Soul Unk, but I guess it happens all the time.
Precisely. Now, the first infected Pokemon our ancestor was tasked to defeat was a rebirth Pishak at the top of the Congo Falls, a giant series of waterfalls deep within the jungle. Here you'd find a lot of the same Pokemon as the creek, with some new additions such as Magikarp, or even an Alpha Gyarados flying over the Cascades, as well as elusive Dragon Tribe members Dratini and Dragonair.
Ah! I want one! I want one!
Me too, but only if I can evolve it into a Dragonite.
Oh wow, I forgot that's what they evolve into. They look nothing alike. That's kind of funny.
It's one of the many mysteries of Pokemon evolution.
Although now that you mention it, there is a variation of Dragonite first discovered in the ancient Cedar region that looks a lot more like its pre-evolution, but that's a legend for another time.
Anyways, after making their way to the top of the falls, they battle a male P-Shock that after being defeated was resurrected into its thunderous rebirth form, with its electrical tail feathers now raging around like a storm.
Wow, now that's sick. Were these battles like the monarch battles where the Pokemon could attack humans?
Yes and no. All Pokemon could attack humans at this point, and our ancestor did have to dodge their attacks. But unlike the Monarch battles, our ancestor didn't use a Tribe Wand to fight back and weaken these Pokemon outside of traditional turn-based style battles like they did the Monarchs. That being said, they did still have unique fighting styles such as the strong and agile style techniques at their disposal.
Oh, that's cool, I guess.
So, what did our ancestors do after defeating Rebirth P-Shock?
They went back to Canopy Village to report to Alani and were tasked to take down another one at the Mykel temple with help from the young boy they had previously met in the Okuvu region, Tumo, who had possessed the Fairy Tribe wand in which he used to command magical Fairy Tribe Pokemon.
Your favorite, Uncle Obasi?
Indeed. I love how protective Fairy Tribe Pokemon are of their habitats and nature in general. These ruins had a variety of Pokemon unique to this area, mostly of the Rock Tribe, including cosmic Pokemon such as Minior, Lunatone, and Solrock, both of which share a rebirth evolution, Obelips, with either a lunar or solar form.
How marvelous!
Indeed, but most of the Pokemon found around the ancient jungle ruins were of the Fairy Tribe, with the most notable being the Clefairy line and of course the Monkey line, who dance beneath the full moon performing rituals, as both these lines have a strong connection to the moon, so your best chance of catching these would be at night beneath the full moon. Shortly after arriving, they were greeted by Tumo, who was happy to see them, and here they were willing to help him and his people in their time of need. Excited, he challenged them to another Pokemon battle.
Only to be crushed and probably run off crying like a little baby again.
Well, his team was supposedly strong this time around. Some of his Pokemon had even evolved, but he did in fact lose the battle. After the battle, he even gifted our ancestor his Fairy Tribe wand as a token of his appreciation, and directed them inside the temple to seek out the infected Pokemon they were tasked to defeat. Inside the Mykel temple were a variety of Pokemon of various different tribes protecting its ancient treasures, such as the Moonstone, or even the same arcane Soul Stone or Soul Ankh used to invoke the power of rebirth. But the infected Moondrill they came to defeat was the temple's true guardian, especially after being reborn in its rebirth form. But our ancestor managed to defeat this mighty Moondrill.
Your ace Pokemon is Moondrill, right? So you must have been in the ruins before.
That is correct. I encountered my Moondrill as a little monkey shortly after setting out on my own Pokemon adventure and trial for the throne.
You obviously didn't become champion, so that means our father must have defeated you.
But I am more than honored to be the region's Pokemon professor and care for the region in ways your father doesn't.
Leweka is lucky to have you. I know our father picked the Fire Tribe Hisia as his first Pokemon, but which Pokemon did you pick as your first partner Pokemon?
Oh, I picked Water-type Gymfin, who ended up serving me well as a magical Hydrophant. I'm sure you two both know which starter Pokemon your grandmother Tamala picked back in the day.
Why, Grass Tribe Jirut, of course. Fully evolved, it's still her ace Pokemon in the Elite Four today as a Timberath.
Well, like in the Okuvu region, you can find all three of the Leweka Region starter Pokemon in the wild. Garud grazing in the Crown Thicket, Hesir illuminating the darker crevices of the region's grottos, and Gymfin in or around the water at the base of the Congo Falls.
So where did our ancestors go next?
The next infected Pokemon they were tasked to defeat was found in the Staya grotto, along with a variety of rock tribe Pokemon, including Leweka natives such as the Primitot line, using stones to carve portraits into the walls of the cavern. Plenty of Pembat and Junglite flying through the caverns. Morlil growing along the ground, illuminated in the darkness. the cries of the Loudred line echoing throughout the caverns, as well as the oddballs such as Shuckle or Drunigan. There was even a secret spring hidden deep within the grotto with a variety of water tribe Pokemon to capture within its crystal clear waters. But our ancestor eventually found the infected Junglei that terrorized the grotto, and its monstrous rebirth form, which became a member of the Dark Tribe after being resurrected.
Now that thing is terrifying looking.
You know it's bad if even she doesn't think a Pokemon is cute.
After defeating this Pokemon, our ancestor explored more of the grotto and caves until finding a little garden area within the grotto where they met up with Healer Sanyu, who challenged them to a rematch in order to make sure they were both prepared for the battle to come. Of course, her team, much like our ancestor, had grown immensely since their last battle. She even used her newly obtained Okuvian Blossom and its rebirth form in this battle.
I'd expect nothing less from her. I could see why our ancestor would fancy such a strong and nurturing woman.
Yeah, this isn't a romance novel, Anaya. You're too young to be talking about this gross lovey-dovey stuff.
It's not gross. It's how we, the Baobab Bloodline, came to be.
La 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 la, I can't hear you. La 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 la.
Anyways, after this battle, Healer Sanyu finally gifted our ancestor her grass tribe wand, for keeps this time, and told them how to call upon the ride Pokemon Vertivour to help them climb the steep cliffs and trees of the Six Kingdoms.
Hold up. Who is that Pokemon?
It looks like an evolution of Carnivine.
Very good, Anaya. Yes, Vertivour is an ancient evolution of Cardivine which evolved using the jungle heart item. Vertivour would disguise itself as a plant using its sweet-smelling saliva to attract and devour its unsuspecting prey. But unlike Carnivine, who take a whole day to eat its prey, Vertivour made quick work of its prey, using its signature move Wildvine, a relentless attack that would often cause its target to flinch. And as I was saying, Vertivour was a ride Pokemon at this time, using its vine-like tentacles to climb steep cliffs and tall trees. It could even be used to swing from tree to tree in the jungle of the Takati region. But our ancestor used this ride Pokemon to finish climbing the cliffs of Staya Peak until they reached the top, where they find a variety of fantastical flying tribe Pokemon soaring above the treetops. But more importantly, they encounter Takati tribe leader Kwame, ancestor of Leweka's witch doctor and poison tribe leader, Talib. Like Talib, Kwame was a shaman and made potions to help protect the people of Takati from any illness. Coming into possession of the poison tribe wand he found, allowing him to use poison tribe Pokemon to heal such illnesses, with their power over poison acting as an antivenom or antidote of sorts. As I mentioned earlier, Kwame wasn't overly welcome of strangers or open to new ways, especially the ways of the outside world. That being said, he loved his Pokemon.
So let me guess. He challenged our ancestor to a Pokemon battle.
Not yet. They more so just spoke about the Pokérus virus and how to find the king of the bog that unleashed it.
Well, I'm glad to hear he was welcoming of our ancestor.
Not quite. In fact, the way I interpreted the tale, it sounds like he basically told our ancestor to go back to the Okuvu region and mind their own business.
Yikes, I already don't like this guy. His Gengar, however, sounds cool.
Was it a regional form?
No, the tribal markings were drawn on using the paint from his Orbeetle, as the people of Takati would cover themselves and their Pokemon in these markings in order to perform rituals to communicate with nature and the divine Pokemon in an attempt to be spared from their fury.
So, they clearly knew how ruthless these divine Pokemon were.
All 6 kingdoms were aware of their reign and immense power, which is why our ancestor eventually convinced them all to put their differences aside and unite against the threat as their plan to conquer the remaining 6 kingdoms worsened.
Shame these divine Pokemon are sealed away today. I'd have really given them a piece of their mind.
I don't know. There are some, like a group known as Team Pyramid, who study the ancient scriptures and believe the divine Pokemon may have been right all along. They were the ones with all the magical powers, and look how far society has fallen with humans at the reign.
Yeah, I've heard of them. My father says they're bad people. You can't possibly agree with these nutjobs, can you, Uncle Abasi?
Well, you can't listen to everything your father says. He doesn't like anyone who questions, let alone opposes his authority as champion. By the time you two set off on your ceremonial trials or take the throne, I hope you'll be able to form your own opinions on such matters. Remember to take into account the numerous perspectives of all the people and Pokemon you meet along the way.
I look forward to it. I want to be the best queen possible.
I already know I'll be the best king ever. Even better than Baba.
I sure hope so. I have high hopes for you two. Anyways, our ancestor ignored tribe leader Kwame's request to leave Takati and instead went off to find the monarch Pokémon on their own, exploring areas such as the Selly River that courses through Leweka with Pokémon just like the ones found in the waters of the Okuvu region. Flying in Steel Tribe Angoing or Roylor, who dive into the water to fish out Pokémon such as the Arrokuda line, as well as Perchu and its evolution, a gigantic Pokémon fishermen today are scared to reel in, as well as the occasional water grass Hippopotas or the fear-invoking water dragon Elegant, who could also be found in the marshes of the Takati region, alongside a variety of other Pokémon such as Dirthog and Borear rolling in the mud or wandering through the murky water, the Gumi line, and of course, the area's namesake Muck and its pre-evolution Grimer.
Gross. I'm not ruining my royal garments in such a filthy place like that.
You think that's bad? Today, this area has become a dump for human waste,
as all of the garbage and waste from the massive metropolis of Tecumseh is dumped straight into these marshes.
which is why poison-type lines such as Trubbish or Revavroom can be found there today, along with Lewekan Slugma and Macargo, who are affected by this waste and eventually adapted into the poison tribe members we know today.
How sad. Another example of how humans have made things harder on Pokemon.
My sentiments exactly. And why I don't think it's fair to label those such as Team Pyramid as the bad guys for simply wanting to help protect the habitats and Pokemon of Leweka.
Are you okay, Uncle Obasi?
Yes, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Just a subject near and dear to me if you couldn't tell. Now back to the story.
After traveling deeper into the marshlands, our ancestor found themselves in Spoko Swamp.
Yikes, that sounds scary.
Yeah, no thanks.
What happened to being Leweka's fearless leader?
Swamps are gross. Nothing but slimy or lethal poison Pokemon, creepy, crawly bug Pokemon, or worse, scary ghost Pokemon.
I couldn't have said it better myself, young Chidi. Those were the type of Pokemon often found in these swamps. Poison tribe Pokemon such as the Leweka natives and normal tribe members, Dakapole, Fragato, and its gender-split evolution, Owltoad or Baratoad, or the Zubat line, which normally only comes out at night.
These swamps were also the haunting ground for ghost tribe Pokemon such as Ghastly and Haunter. Phantump or Trevenant disguised as trees. Fearing natives such as Limbu or Drowgrave emerging from beneath the bog to grab at unsuspecting victims. Or even another one of Leweka's natives, the Cursed Voodoo line.
I know you said there is no such thing as a scary Pokemon, Uncle Obasi, but those Pokemon all sound quite scary to me, and I love Pokemon.
Which is why I know that if you were to ever meet any of these Pokemon, you'd win them over with that big heart of yours, Anaya.
And me too.
No, you'd make a tasty treat.
Hey!
Spoko Swamp was also the location of a regional Reuniclus line, including a poison tribe variant of Solosis, unique to the ancient Takati region.
Oh my, it's
So cute. We know, you're like a broken record.
Takashin Solosis is enveloped in a slimy liquid that carries a variety of illnesses, including the Pokerus virus that plagued the Takati region. It evolved into Takashin Duosion. Much like the psychic tribe Duosion found today, this variant's brain was divided in two, constantly at battle with one another, like an immune system unknowingly attacking its own cells in order to protect itself from foreign ones.
that doesn't sound healthy.
It wasn't, not for it or the Pokemon around it. As like Solosis, it was riddled with dangerous contagions. And of course, it evolved into Takashin Reuniclus. Like its pre-evolution, the arms of the Pokemon acted independently, coated in the same slimy substance that carried all these lethal diseases such as Pokerus.
I mean, to be fair, Pokerus is hardly lethal. It just makes Pokemon level up faster. I don't see what the big deal is.
If you'd been paying attention, you'd know the big deal is it made the wild Pokemon too strong for the people of Takati to command and unpredictable.
Yeah, but it's not like it harms the Pokemon themselves.
Actually, the reason it causes Pokemon to level up so quickly is because their bodies are working at an accelerated rate to fight off the virus.
So it is actually very uncomfortable for the infected Pokemon, as they are constantly left feeling fatigued as a result.
Like most illnesses, it aggravated them as they couldn't control their own power, which is why these infected Pokemon went feral after being infected.
Wow, I never knew that. Is Pokerus still around today?
I believe so. but it's extremely rare thanks to the advancements in modern medicine, as this virus once again not only possessed a threat to the people who lived in harmony with Pokemon, but the poor Pokemon themselves as they couldn't control their own power. And if it wasn't already obvious, Takati Reuniclus was also the monarch Pokemon that plagued the Takati region with the Pokerus virus, with its powerful rebirth form making for a challenging battle, as it not only had a strong signature move at its disposal to potentially one-turn a poison Pokemon, but it had the rare ability Outbreak that helped make the poison status run rapid in the trainer's party, which in conjunction with this ability made this Pokemon a force to be reckoned with.
So, did our ancestor battle the monarch Pokemon?
Not yet. They had to take down one more infected Pokemon first. I almost forgot to mention, this area was even home to one of the Leweka fossils. Sorrowbrum and Membrane, rock and psychic tribe Pokemon that can only be obtained in Leweka today by restoring the Nape fossil, but could be found within the murky waters of the Takati region at this time. Like its counterpart restored from the Spine fossil, this Pokemon had a rebirth form which, upon being resurrected, was reincarnated in a more primal form without its rock typing.
How cool! I love fossil Pokemon.
You and every little boy across the world.
The rebirth-capable Membrane found within the swamps was the last infected Pokemon our ancestor was tasked to defeat. After doing so, they finally earned the trust of the Takati tribe Kwame. Alani and Tumo all witnessed this. Alani then thanked our ancestor for helping to stop all these infected Pokemon,
giving them all of their taken tribe wands back. But Kwame wasn't satisfied and had one last challenge left for our ancestor, a Pokemon battle.
I knew it! Oh my, I'd love to see the look on that smug face when our ancestor annihilated him.
Kwame's Poison Tribe team consisted of a Dark and Poison Tribe Rorschach, the ace Pokemon of his ancestor Poison Tribe leader Talib in Leweka today. Rorschach's spots made up ink patterns that would change with its mood.
The last Pokemon Kwame used was of course his partner Pokemon Gengar, who fought dirty using a variety of tricks to try to get the best on our ancestor. Luckily, our ancestor chose Totodile as their first partner Pokemon, who had already evolved into a Kuvian Feraligatr at this point. So they were not only able to make the most of the swamp setting hiding beneath its murky water, but was a member of the Dark Tribe, making it super effective against a Ghost Tribe member such as Gengar.
It sounds like our ancestor was pretty smart using the environment to their advantage like that.
Not to mention type advantage.
You mean tribe advantages.
Potato, french fry, you know what I meant. Even Uncle Abasi slips up from time to time.
Please know you two aren't required to refer to them as tribes. There are many Lewekans today who forget to do so, as the term types is used most everywhere else in the world. That's just an ancient Lewekan tradition that dates back to the time of this tale, due to the collection of all 18 of Elemage's tribe wands and the unification of all the 6 kingdoms. As I said earlier, it was used to create a greater sense of family amongst Pokemon of the same affinity. A lot of Leweka's long-standing traditions can be traced back to this tale.
I think it's wonderful that Leweka still honors the culture and tradition of its 6 regions today.
I'm glad one of us does. I still don't think I should have to wait until I'm 18 years old to own a Pokemon. Seems like overkill to me.
I already told you, you two aren't your average Pokemon trainers. You are heirs to the royal throne. I promise you, young ones, the wait will be well worth it.
Within that time, you'll both be taught in the ways of the champion,
learning not only about the kingdoms of Leweka's rich history and traditions, but its Pokemon and the duties that come with the title of champion.
Yeah, I know. With great power comes great responsibility, yada yada. Now please tell us about the Monarch battle already.
Our ancestor faced off against Takati Reuniclus and its formidable rebirth form in this swampy area, using the Poison Tribe wand lent to them by tribe leader Kwame, as Reuniclus would use its arms to hurl sludge from the surrounding swamp at our ancestor outside of the traditional Pokemon battle, potentially poisoning them or their Pokemon. It would also go over the murky water where our ancestor couldn't reach them with their Pokemon nor the magic power of Kwame's Poison Tribe wand. So they had to wait for the opportune time to strike. Some of the bog would even bubble. These areas were extremely toxic and can potentially poison our ancestor and their Pokemon as well. So they also had to make sure they avoided these spots, as well as Reuniclus's attacks against them, such as little Solosis or Duosion they conjure into battle floating around the battlefield to infect our ancestor. Not to mention a deadly attack where it would extend its long arms out at them, trying to grab them to pull them into the swampy water where they sink in the sludge, potentially ending the battle.
This sounds like a lot to worry about at once.
Indeed, like you said earlier though, luckily our ancestor was resourceful and managed to persevere, eventually winning the battle, passing the poison tribe wand back to Kuwame afterwards, as he was now in control of the Kashin Reuniclus.
I bet he liked our ancestor after catching that monarch Pokemon for him.
I am sure as after the Okuvu tribe leader Nandi appeared, and thanks to our ancestor, the two tribes were able to form a treaty between the Okuvu and Takati region, combining their resources and knowledge in hopes of uniting the other four kingdoms in the same way.
Such a beautiful union. I'm so glad they were able to put their differences aside. I feel people, Pokemon, it doesn't matter. We are all stronger together.
Well said, Anaya, but the story isn't over yet. After this victory, tribe leader Nandi asked our ancestor to meet her in the Tukamzi clearing, at the edge of the Takati region bordering the Awago region, the region they had planned to visit next in order to appeal the Awago tribe in the same way they did the people of Takati.
Were there any new Pokemon in this area?
A few, such as Vulpix or Baniri hiding in the tall grass, as well as plenty of familiar faces, most of which being formidable bug tribe Pokemon, which is fitting, as this clearing ended up being the battleground for our ancestors' rematch against tribe leader Nandi, who this time around used her bug tribe wand, and outside of her ace Pokemon Nightmarak in its rebirth form, had a whole new team of Pokemon such as Vespiquen and Levani. After defeating Nandi, she not only gifted our ancestor her bug tribe wand, but told them that this area would one day become the metropolis we know today as Tokamzi City, the most technologically advanced city within Leweka today, as she spoke of seeing a future civilization there towering high above the trees in one of her visions, a place unlike anything she's ever seen where people lived in harmony with Pokemon and nature. This is particularly poetic now that I think about it, as Tokamzi also happens to be the location of the bug tribe gym your young BFF Zola has recently taken over, which is quite impressive for someone her age.
She is really smart.
Indeed, I myself own one of her Rotom watches. It's really catching on fast here in Leweka. Before we go any further, I think it's the perfect place for us to stop now. Would either of you like to take a lunch break?
I do. I thought you'd never ask.
Oh, I thought you two might say that.
I'm sure Grandma Tamala will whip us up something nice.
By that you probably need something with lots of vegetables.
You'll need plenty of nutrients if you ever plan to become champion.
Let's go eat and we'll pick back up right where we left off afterwards.
Yay! I can't wait to learn more about the Iwago region.